Have you ever wondered if there's more to the story of Jesus than what we've been taught? Imagine for a moment that the figure we've revered for centuries might have a deeper, more complex journey than we ever realized. What if I told you that one man, Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, claimed to have unlocked hidden truths about Jesus that could shake the very foundation of everything we thought we knew? These revelations are not just intriguing, they're downright terrifying. Cayce's insights into Jesus' life, his true nature, and the destiny that awaits us all are so profound and unsettling that they've left many questioning their faith, their future, and what it truly means to follow a spiritual path. But here's the thing. These revelations don't just challenge our beliefs. They demand that we reconsider the entire purpose of our lives. If you've ever felt that there's something more out there, something just beyond the veil of what we can see and understand, then you're not alone. In this video, we're diving deep into the mysteries that Cayce uncovered, and by the end, you might just find yourself looking at Jesus and your own spiritual journey in a completely different light. Stay with me, because what we're about to explore could change everything. Before we delve into these mind-bending revelations, let's first get acquainted with the man behind them. Edgar Cayce, a figure as mysterious and extraordinary as the insights he provided. Introducing Edgar Cayce, the Sleeping Prophet. Edgar Cayce was born in 1877 in the rural landscapes of Kentucky. From an early age, Cayce demonstrated abilities that were anything but ordinary. Imagine a child who, without any formal medical training, could diagnose illnesses and prescribe treatments while in a self-induced trance. This ability earned him the nickname the Sleeping Prophet, because he would often fall into a deep sleep before making his predictions or offering medical advice. But Cayce's insights weren't limited to health. Over the years, he touched on subjects as vast and varied as Atlantis, ancient Egypt, reincarnation, and perhaps most controversially, the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. As Cayce delved deeper into his spiritual practice, his revelations about Jesus became increasingly profound and, to some, downright alarming. Now that we have a glimpse of who Edgar Cayce was, let's journey back to the beginning and explore how his extraordinary spiritual abilities first emerged. Chapter 1. Cayce's early encounters with the divine. Let's take a moment to delve into the early life of Edgar Cayce, a man whose spiritual journey began not in the later years of life, but in the tender years of childhood. Unlike many spiritual figures who find their path as adults, Cayce's experiences with the divine were interwoven with his earliest memories. He was no ordinary child. Even at a young age, he exhibited a profound spiritual sensitivity that set him apart. His deep love for the Bible, a book he clung to as a source of wisdom and comfort, was not merely a child's fascination. It was a quest, a search for answers to questions that seemed too profound for someone his age to ponder. Cayce's childhood was marked by a series of spiritual experiences that would shape the rest of his life. One of the most significant events occurred when he was just a boy. In a moment that would be etched into his memory forever, Cayce had a vision of a winged woman, an ethereal figure who radiated a sense of peace and power. This apparition wasn't just a fleeting image. It was a profound encounter that felt as real to him as the physical world around him. The winged woman spoke to him, offering to grant him whatever he desired most. For a child, such an offer might have led to a request for toys or sweets, but Cayce, even then, had a heart filled with compassion. He asked for the ability to help others, especially children. This selfless wish revealed the essence of Cayce's character, his innate desire to serve and heal, a desire that would become the cornerstone of his life's work. As Cayce grew, so did the intensity and frequency of his spiritual experiences. These weren't just dreams or fleeting thoughts. They were vivid, profound encounters that left a lasting impact on his soul. He began to see the world not just as a physical place, but as a realm filled with divine mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Each vision, each encounter, seemed to draw him closer to a deeper understanding of the universe and his purpose within it. These early experiences were not just milestones on his spiritual journey. They were the foundation upon which his later work would be built. They were the moments that would eventually lead him to become one of the most remarkable and controversial figures in the realm of spiritual and psychic phenomena. As Cayce matured, so did his spiritual gifts. What began as childhood visions evolved into something much more profound, an ability that would define his legacy. But before we dive deeper into Cayce's remarkable journey, I have something exciting to share. If you want to attract huge money effortlessly starting today, check out the link in the comments below. To discover the shocking wealth secrets revealed by a rogue NASA scientist, secrets that could transform your financial future forever, check out the link in the comments for more details. Now let's continue our journey. Chapter 2. The development of Cayce's prophetic abilities. As Edgar Cayce transitioned from childhood into young adulthood, his spiritual abilities began to evolve in ways that were both awe-inspiring and bewildering. It was during this period that Cayce discovered a remarkable gift, his ability to enter a trance-like state at will. This wasn't just a light meditation or a moment of deep thought. It was a profound, altered state of consciousness where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual worlds seemed to blur. In this state, Cayce could access information that was beyond the reach of ordinary human understanding. It was as if he had tapped into a universal library of knowledge, a place where the past, present, and future coexisted in a single, timeless continuum. What made Cayce's abilities even more extraordinary was the nature of the information he received during these trances. He would speak in a calm, authoritative voice, relaying insights that ranged from detailed medical advice to predictions about future events. His readings, as they came to be known, were often uncannily accurate, providing solutions to health issues that baffled conventional medicine and foreseeing events that would later unfold with startling precision. But Cayce's trances weren't just about predicting the future or diagnosing physical ailments. They were deeply spiritual experiences that offered profound insights into the nature of the soul, the afterlife, and the spiritual journey that each of us is on. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of Cayce's trances was his ability to channel spiritual knowledge that went far beyond the physical world. He spoke of the soul's journey through time, of reincarnation, and of the interconnectedness of all life. These were concepts that challenged the conventional religious beliefs of his time, and yet they resonated with a deep truth that many who heard them couldn't deny. Cayce's readings suggested that life was not a random series of events, but a carefully orchestrated journey of the soul, with each lifetime offering opportunities for growth, learning, and spiritual evolution. This idea, though radical, offered a sense of hope and purpose to those who struggled with the complexities of life. Cayce's growing abilities were both a gift and a burden. They opened up new realms of understanding, but they also isolated him from those who couldn't comprehend the depth of his experiences. Despite the challenges, Cayce remained committed to using his abilities for the greater good. He saw his gift not as something to be exploited for personal gain, but as a sacred responsibility, a means to help others find healing, both physically and spiritually, and to guide them on their own journeys toward enlightenment. Among the many insights Cayce uncovered during his trances, none are more captivating or controversial than his visions of Jesus Christ. Let's dive into these revelations and see how they challenge traditional beliefs. Chapter 3. Cayce's vision of Jesus, a radical departure from orthodoxy. Among the many revelations that Edgar Cayce shared during his trances, none were more controversial or thought-provoking than his visions of Jesus Christ. Cayce's understanding of Jesus was a radical departure from traditional Christian doctrine, and it challenged the very foundations of what many believed to be true about the Son of God. According to Cayce, Jesus was not merely the divine figure portrayed in the Gospels, a being who was perfect from birth and uniquely endowed with divine powers. Instead, Cayce suggested that Jesus was a highly evolved spiritual being who, like all of us, was on a journey of spiritual growth and evolution. This concept was revolutionary, as it implied that Jesus had not been born perfect, but had achieved spiritual perfection through a series of incarnations. In other words, Jesus had lived many lives, each one bringing him closer to the divine wisdom and understanding that he ultimately embodied. This idea was unsettling to many, as it suggested that the traditional view of Jesus as the unique and sinless Son of God might be incomplete or even inaccurate. But for those who resonated with Cayce's teachings, this vision of Jesus was profoundly liberating. It suggested that spiritual evolution was a possibility for all of us, that we, too, could aspire to the same heights of spiritual understanding and compassion that Jesus had achieved. Cayce's readings also offered a more complex and nuanced view of Jesus' life than what is found in the New Testament. According to Cayce, the so-called lost years of Jesus, those years between his childhood and the beginning of his public ministry, were not a period of obscurity or inactivity. Instead, Cayce suggested that during these years, Jesus traveled extensively, seeking wisdom and knowledge from spiritual masters around the world. Cayce's readings indicated that Jesus spent time in India, Egypt, and other ancient centers of spiritual learning, where he studied the teachings of various religious traditions and integrated them into his own understanding of the divine. This vision of Jesus as a seeker of wisdom and a student of the world's spiritual traditions was both compelling and controversial. It challenged the notion of Jesus as a figure isolated within the boundaries of Judaism and early Christianity, and it opened up the possibility that his teachings were influenced by a much broader range of spiritual perspectives. For Cayce, this broader understanding of Jesus did not diminish his divinity. Rather, it highlighted the universality of his message, a message that transcended religious boundaries and spoke to the common spiritual journey of all humanity. But Cayce's understanding of Jesus didn't stop there. He introduced an even more profound concept that redefines how we think about divinity, something he called the Christ consciousness. Chapter 4: The Concept of the Christ Consciousness. One of the most profound and transformative ideas that Edgar Cayce introduced to the world was the concept of the Christ consciousness. This idea was not just a reinterpretation of Jesus' teachings, but a revolutionary vision that broadened the understanding of divinity and spiritual potential. According to Cayce, the Christ consciousness is not an attribute reserved solely for Jesus. It is a state of spiritual enlightenment that is accessible to every human being. This consciousness embodies the highest level of spiritual awareness, characterized by perfect love, compassion, and a deep unity with the divine. The notion of Christ consciousness shifts the focus from worshiping Jesus as an unattainable figure to seeing him as a guide and example of what is possible for all of us. Cayce taught that the Christ consciousness is the divine potential within every soul, the seed of godliness that we are all meant to nurture and grow throughout our lives. This idea was both liberating and daunting. On the one hand, it suggested that spiritual enlightenment and divine connection were not beyond our reach. On the other hand, it placed a significant responsibility on each individual to strive toward this higher state of being. For many, Cayce's teachings on the Christ consciousness were challenging. They demanded a rethinking of traditional Christian doctrines that portrayed Jesus as the singular, perfect Son of God. Instead, Cayce proposed that Jesus achieved his divine status through lifetimes of spiritual growth, and that this path is open to everyone. This concept calls into question long-held beliefs about the nature of divinity and the role that each of us plays in our spiritual evolution. Cayce's message was clear. The Christ consciousness is not an exclusive attribute of a distant, divine figure. It is the ultimate potential that lies within every person. To awaken this consciousness within ourselves requires dedication, selflessness, and a commitment to spiritual growth. It means embracing love and compassion in our daily lives and seeking a deeper connection with the divine. While the path may be difficult, Cayce's teachings offer a vision of what is possible, a world where every person recognizes and realizes their divine potential. Cayce's teachings about Jesus and the Christ consciousness weren't just reflections on the past. They were also a window into the future. Let's explore his prophecies and what they mean for the world today. Chapter 5. Cayce's prophecies about the future and the role of Jesus. Cayce's insights into the nature of Jesus and the Christ consciousness were not limited to reflections on the past. They also extended into predictions about the future. Among his many prophecies, one of the most significant was his vision of the second coming of Christ. However, Cayce's interpretation of this event was quite different from the traditional Christian view. Rather than envisioning a literal return of Jesus in physical form, Cayce predicted that the second coming would manifest as the awakening of the Christ consciousness within humanity as a whole. This prophecy implied that the return of Christ would not be a singular event, but a widespread spiritual awakening. According to Cayce, this global shift in consciousness would be preceded by great upheavals, both physical and spiritual. He foresaw natural disasters, wars, and other global crises that would act as catalysts for this awakening. In Cayce's vision, these challenges were not mere punishments or random events, but necessary disruptions that would pave the way for a new era of enlightenment and peace. Cayce's predictions carried a dual message of warning and hope. He warned that humanity would face a period of intense purification, a time when old beliefs and ways of living would be challenged and ultimately discarded. This process, he suggested, would be both painful and frightening, as it would force people to confront deeply held fears and attachments. Yet, out of this chaos, Cayce saw the potential for a brighter future, a world guided by the principles of the Christ consciousness, where love, compassion, and spiritual awareness would reign supreme. The idea that the second coming of Christ would be an internal, spiritual event rather than a physical one was a radical departure from traditional Christian teachings. It suggested that the responsibility for this new era of enlightenment did not rest with a divine Savior descending from the heavens, but with each individual's willingness to awaken their own Christ consciousness. This prophecy offered both a challenge and an opportunity. A challenge to let go of old, limiting beliefs, and an opportunity to participate in the creation of a new, spiritually evolved world. While Cayce's prophecies offer a vision of hope, they also come with a warning that stirs both fear and awe. Let's consider the dual nature of his revelations and what they imply for our spiritual journey. Chapter 6. The Fear and Hope in Cayce's Revelations. Cayce's revelations about Jesus, the Christ consciousness, and the future were met with mixed emotions, fear and hope, doubt and inspiration. On one hand, his teachings challenged some of the most fundamental beliefs that have shaped religious thought for centuries. The idea that Jesus was not a singular divine figure, but rather a highly evolved soul on a journey of spiritual growth was unsettling for many. It forced a re-examination of the nature of divinity and the role that each of us plays in our own spiritual development. This reinterpretation of Jesus' life and mission also brought with it a sense of fear. If Jesus was not the unique Son of God, but an example of what we could all become, then the responsibility for our spiritual growth lies squarely on our own shoulders. This realization can be daunting, as it implies that we must actively pursue our own spiritual evolution rather than relying on external salvation. The fear of failing to live up to this potential, of not awakening the Christ consciousness within ourselves, can be overwhelming. Yet, alongside this fear, Cayce's teachings also offered a profound sense of hope. The Christ consciousness, he taught, is not something that is beyond our reach. It is an inherent part of who we are. Each of us has the capacity to cultivate this divine awareness, to embody the love and compassion that Jesus demonstrated. This idea is empowering, as it suggests that we are not passive recipients of divine grace, but active participants in our own spiritual journey. Cayce's vision of the future, with all its upheavals and challenges, also carries a message of hope. He believed that the trials humanity would face were not simply acts of divine retribution, but opportunities for growth and transformation. The chaos and conflict that he foresaw were seen as necessary steps toward a greater spiritual awakening, a time when the Christ consciousness would emerge in humanity as a whole, leading to a new era of peace and enlightenment. In this way, Cayce's revelations offer a balanced perspective. They acknowledge the difficulties and fears that come with spiritual growth, but they also highlight the immense potential that lies within each of us. By embracing the Christ consciousness, we can overcome these fears and contribute to the creation of a better, more spiritually aware world. Despite the fear and controversy surrounding his revelations, Cayce's influence has only grown over the years. Let's take a look at how his teachings continue to shape spiritual thought and inspire seekers around the world. Chapter 7: Cayce's Influence and Legacy. Even decades after his passing, Edgar Cayce's influence continues to resonate with people around the world. His readings, which touched on everything from health and spirituality to future events, have inspired countless individuals to explore their own spiritual paths. Cayce's teachings about Jesus, the Christ consciousness, and the future have sparked debates and discussions across religious and spiritual communities, challenging traditional views and opening up new possibilities for understanding divinity and the human experience. Cayce's legacy is a testament to the enduring power of his insights. Despite the controversy and fear that some of his revelations have provoked, his message remains one of hope and transformation. He believed that humanity is on the brink of a great spiritual awakening, and that each of us has a role to play in bringing about this new era of enlightenment. His teachings encourage us to look beyond the surface of religious doctrine and explore the deeper, universal truths that connect all of us. The continued interest in Cayce's work is a reflection of his ability to speak to the timeless questions of existence. Who are we? Why are we here? What is our purpose? By framing these questions within the context of the Christ consciousness, Cayce offered a vision of human potential that is both inspiring and challenging. He reminded us that spiritual growth is not just the domain of saints and mystics, but a path that is open to everyone. Cayce's influence extends beyond his readings and prophecies. It lies in the way he encouraged people to seek their own spiritual truth. He showed that spirituality is not a static belief system, but a dynamic journey of discovery and transformation. His legacy continues to inspire those who are willing to look beyond the ordinary and embrace the extraordinary potential that lies within each of us. In conclusion, what Cayce's revelations mean for us today? As we reflect on Cayce's revelations about Jesus, we are left with many questions. What if the traditional understanding of Jesus as a singular divine figure is incomplete? What if we are all capable of achieving the same level of spiritual awareness as Jesus? And what if the future of humanity depends on our willingness to embrace the Christ consciousness within ourselves? These are not easy questions, and they don't have simple answers. But they are questions that Cayce believed we must ask if we are to understand the true nature of our spiritual journey. In the end, Cayce's message is one of hope, but it is also a call to action. He challenges us to look beyond the surface of our beliefs and to seek the deeper truths that lie beneath. Cayce's revelations ask us to reconsider our relationship with divinity and our own potential for spiritual growth. They suggest that the story of Jesus is not just about a historical figure who lived 2,000 years ago, but about a path of spiritual evolution that is open to all of us. This path requires courage, humility, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. Today, as we face unprecedented challenges, whether they be environmental, social, or spiritual, Cayce's teachings are more relevant than ever. They remind us that true change begins within, and that each of us has the power to contribute to the awakening of a new consciousness on this planet. This transformation may be daunting, and it may require us to let go of long-held beliefs, but it also offers the promise of a brighter, more enlightened future. So, as we close this exploration of Edgar Cayce's terrifying yet hopeful revelations, let's remember that the power to shape our destiny lies within us. The Christ consciousness is not something reserved for a select few. It is a potential that resides in every one of us, waiting to be awakened. The journey may be challenging, but the rewards, a world filled with love, compassion, and unity, are worth every step. Thank you for joining us in this deep dive into the life and teachings of Edgar Cayce. If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We have much more to explore together on this spiritual journey. Until next time, stay curious and stay open to the mysteries that lie beyond the ordinary.